we're going to move on to my top shelf, well, my shelf that is higher than me, shall we say, because I'm standing on a stool just to film this. So, as you can see, I've got a Yu-Gi-Oh sort of decoration. I don't really know what to call it. I got it when I was at either Forbidden Planet or Comic Con, one of the two. I have a small candle, which is one of the only few candles I actually own. We then move on to my Halloween movie collection, as well as my Star Wars prequel collection, because these were the only films I decided to bring with me because I don't have a DVD player at the current moment. Moving on, we have some of my taller books. We've got Gideon the Ninth, which I have not read. A lot of these I have not read. The Supervillain and Me, have not read. These Witches Don't Burn, have not read that. This one I have read, and it's actually a recent purchase from my local library, The Feyman. This book I have actually read. I read it this year, and I noticed they were getting rid of some books at the library, so I decided to buy it because I really enjoyed it. Really upset they didn't have the rest of the series though. Next we have 6 Crimson Cranes. This is a recent purchase of this year, and I'm sorry, this cover is gorgeous. There goes everything. I really hope that stays. I really love these end papers. Just now going to try and fix this without anything falling. Just try and move that. Let's move all that back together. So yeah, these are 3 of my mangas that I currently own. 2 of which I have read, which will be the first volumes of The Haunted Bookstore and The Girl from the Other Side. I am trying to find a second volume that I can get from my local library. And of course I do have volume 2 of The Haunted Bookstore. Then, in the middle of all this, I've got my Shadow Freddy plushie, as well as some little CDs. I've got 2 JLS ones and then an Ad Levine one. It's upside down, I know. Then I've got one of the only other Star Wars books I've got other than Ahsoka, which is Thrawn. This one I have not read. Galleons, which was a purchase which I got this year. Hardcover, sprayed edges, and it is signed. So I'm really glad to have gotten that. I've got the Alpha Drive, not read. Fairchild, not read. This is one of the other mangas I own. Oop, there go my books. It's called The Wise Beasts of the Wisdom, if that's correct. That's going to be a bit of a tongue twister. I then have Failure to Communicate, which is an autistic. Well, it has autistic representations, shall I say. The main character is autistic, and that's one of the reasons why I got it, because I'm trying to find more autistic-related books. Well, not autistic-related books, but, books with autistic characters. Next, we have Passion and Serenity. It's a Quinobi bind-up of so many beautiful stories and artwork from Tumblr and Archive of Our Own. I've only read a few of these because I've read them online. I plan on reading the rest soon. The Princess Saves Herself in this one. This is a poetry collection that someone said was actually really good. And even though I'm not really keen on poetry, I wanted to give it a try. And yes, that is now going to continue to fall and put the other book up. Sorry, just let me fix this. And then the final book that is on the shelf is my copy of Alice in Wonderland, the Special Editions manga. Now this one, if I can show you, actually follows the movie, kind of. Follows the movie variation of Alice in Wonderland. But it's in manga form, as you can see. So yeah, that is my shelf. Well, taller shelf, shall I say. And finally we will move on to my only other bookshelf, which is currently in the living room. And the reason some of these books are turned around is so I know these are books I haven't read or need to read. We'll start at this end with my slightly darker colour scheme. So these will move. I've got The Canvas of Stars, poems about losing faith and finding self. I then have, if I can get them out, the Five Nights at Freddy's Silver Eyes series, which includes Silver Eyes, Twisted Ones, and The Fourth Closet. I have not yet read the newer books Scott Coffin has come out with, but I do plan to. Next we have Fangs, which is a graphic novel following a romance between a vampire and a werewolf. This one has all the cliches you will have with vampires and werewolves, but they make it so good and funny. Another vampire book, Vampires Never Get Old. I read this Halloween. It was great. Next we have the, what series would you call this? I've completely forgot. Whoops, there goes the first book. Sorry. So we've got City of Ghosts, Tunnel of Bones, and Bridge of Souls. I have read all of these, and I really love them, because I'm a sucker for ghosts and creepy stuff. We then have Interview with a Vampire. This is the only book in this series that I'm planning on owning, because I don't have the room. This one, I am a little upset I couldn't tick this off on Goodreads, but I've read this a few times. This is Vamp the Lost Soul. I got this from Comic Con, to which it is also signed, but I'm not going to show you that. This is my Loki When Mischief Lies. I have read this and I had so much fun reading that, because let's just face it, Loki is fun to read. We then have the autobiography of Catherine Janeway, the history of the captain who went further than any had before. I am a huge Star Wars, well, not a huge, but I love Star Trek Voyager, and it was one of my favourites, so that's one of the reasons I own this. And directly after I read it, I rewatched the series again, because I couldn't help myself. We have Cinderella is Dead. I'm actually currently reading one of her other books to do with the Secret Garden sort of story. I can't fully remember. We then have City of Villains, which is part of Disney Villains. I couldn't tell if I liked this cover or if I liked the other one. It was really difficult to choose, but I wanted paperback because paperbacks are much easier to read. We then have Half a Soul. Really like the colour on this. It's really bold. Just realised that. Then we have Through the Looking Glass House. Well, not Through the Looking Glass House. I actually got this when I went to go and see the Curiosa and Curiosa show at a museum. Was it a museum? I think it was a museum. I went to go and see that, and obviously it follows the Alice in Wonderland throughout the ages. It was really cool. Shame I never got to go and see it again. Then we have the X-Hex. Fun fact, I actually own this in ebook form as well. I completely forgot I owned it in ebook form and it ended up getting it in paperback as well. We then have Angel, about to fall, Angel Fall, which I also have not read. I am planning on reading it, see if I like it enough to get the rest of the series. Then we have Cat Plus Gamer, which is a manga. My sister has read it. She says it's really, really cute. This is just a project book that I'm not really going to show. We have some stickers here and a present for someone. Don't tell. We then had The Cat Who Saved Books. This is a translated work and it's a purchase of this year. Then we have The City of Cycles. This is a book I found at Poundland and decided to give it a try. These are actually books I've read now, instead of all the last ones. We have The Kingdom, which is like a Disneyland sort of inspired. That involves robots, I think. It's been a while. The Savage Girl. This one I used to borrow from the library, and then the library closed and I couldn't find the book again. So I finally found a copy of it, and I absolutely loved reading this. It was really, not really cute, but it was impactful on my childhood. Then we have The Last Bus to Everland, which is obviously Neverland inspired. It was one of the few books I actually liked by her. I think I've read another book by her. Then we have Jocelyn Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. This is, I think, the only Christina Lauren book besides autobiography that I own. Maybe. I have read more of her books. I actually decided to get this because I read this from the library and I really wanted a physical copy. Then we have If This Gets Out. Again, I have not read this, that's why it's turned around. Then I have The Darkness Outside Us. Again, not read. Then I have You're Welcome Universe. This has apparently got deaf representation, which is really good, because you don't see much of that, if I'm being honest. Then we, of course, have Red, White, and Royal Blue. So this is all of that's on my shelf. That is none of mine. It belongs to a flatmate, so I'm not going to show it. Now I just have to rearrange everything. Give me a second, please. So yeah, that is all my shelves. Thank you very much.